And hello, and welcome to Dunera, and in particular, welcome to Backstage, and our latest episode of our weekly interview and chat with someone from the theatre and possibly musical theatre world. And today, a special guest, we've got the very lovely, very talented Doron Chester with us today. Doron, hello.
Hello. Hi, I'm here.
There you are. Hello.
Hi.
It's great to see you there. And an innovation today for Backstage, we are going live. And the beauty of that is we have our lovely guests, our viewers and our friends there online, and they can chat. They can say hello. There's a lovely chat box there. I'd remind them perhaps to maybe mute their microphones, probably turn off their cameras, although I don't think we can see you right now. But either way, if you want to say hello to us or even ask a question, pop it in the chat box and we shall interact. What fun. So Doron, welcome. I'll give a little admission here that we have worked together a few times, which has been a great pleasure and a joy.
Yes.
And we may mention some things that we have in common along the way. But let me take you right back because you are a Mariah graduate, a Sydney boy, and you must have, I think, a Bondi boy too. You must have very much started your music and your theatre life there. But was it earlier? You start off with the Doron Chester story and how it all began.
Well, Mum's online. I think Mum's watching this, so she can attest to this. But yeah, I always used to sing as a kid. I think the earliest memory I have is when I think I got a ukulele or a little guitar for a birthday present. The only reason I remember is because there's a home video of it, and I remember playing the guitar, and I've never picked up a guitar since. Like I've never ever played guitar. But I was always performing for my parents and family, always singing, always mucking around. And then when you're older, you realize, because this question's come up a lot, like where did you get all this performing from? And I just remember going to my grandparents' house, who lived around the corner from us when we were little, and always watching Singing in the Rain, always watching Strictly Ballroom, and I would always try and mimic the dances from those shows. And I'm not a dancer, so that obviously worked. But always being the entertainer and the funny guy, all that shtick, like from Make 'Em Laugh and Sing in the Rain. So I just remember being from a very young age, always wanting to do that and wanting to entertain people. I don't know if it was entertaining or just stupid, but yeah.
I'm sure they would have told you if it wasn't. Oh, except for your parents.
Yeah.
Yes,
of course.
Yep.
Yeah.
But you must have continued this at school. How early do you remember performing for a bigger audience than beyond the family?
I think I started singing lessons when I was 8, a little bit older. Yeah, Mum will probably correct me. She'll probably call me later.
You might be in the chat and even tell us. This would be fun. But
yeah. Oh no. It's my interview, Mum. Typical Jewish mother. So yeah, I think I remember going for singing lessons at 8 because I think we have a video of me singing something. I think it was Robbie Williams, Let Me Entertain You. I think that was the first song I sung to in a crowd because my singing teacher was part of this group, and he had, I think, monthly singing showcases. And so, yeah, I think that's the first time I performed to a number of people. And then I stuck with that singing teacher, Mark Villaga, for a long time, nearly 10 years of just singing. So thanks, Mum and Dad, for paying. Yeah, and they were always supportive. So I think that was the first time where I
You're probably entertaining your teacher. I'm sure that if you're an actor, singer, and comedian, let's be fair, musical comedy, in particular, a person like yourself, the lessons would have been great fun. School?
Yeah.
Oh, just before we go, just a reminder to everybody to please mute themselves. Thanks. That any of our viewers, please, if you would. There's just a little bit of sound coming through, apparently. Thank you. someone maybe called Moron. I'm going to mispronounce that, but it does look like Moron on the screen. Anyway, if you would turn off your microphone too. Doron, so school performances, school shows, surely.
School, yeah. Oh, probably. I remember the biggest one that my mum always tells because it involves a funny story about my hair, which I'll tell real quick. But so I don't know, obviously, I'm pretty sure a lot of the attendees will know this, but at Mariah, every year in primary school, you do a Seder. You do a mock Seder for Pesach, where you invite all the parents and each kid has different things to say, whatever. And I was chosen to be the Abba. So I was chosen to be the father. I had this big role. And I can't remember how old I was, but I was quite young. And so this was like my big shining moment for my mum. And for me, I don't know. And I remember one day, I think it was a couple of days before, Dad had just gotten this shaving kit. So to cut hair. And my sister, shout out to my sister, I think she's watching as well, Haley. But my dad decided to cut our hair. And obviously that's a great idea, terrible idea. And so he's shaving my head and it's going well. But then Mum asked him to go downstairs to clean up or to help her get some shopping or groceries out of the car. And so little Doron has been left with this shaver. And then I start trying to shave my own hair, and I put bald spots all over my head, and I show my parents. I'm like, look, this is my new haircut, because I thought I could do it, and I've got this big debut of being the Abba in this Pesach Seder for school. I think it must have been year 3 or year 2 even, like really quite young. Yeah. And so I remember going to the hairdresser, and the hairdresser said, the only way we can fix this is by shaving everything off. So I was a bald 8-year-old Abba, and it was perfect because we're all balding. And so I wore this golf cap. So it looked really real, but that's probably the first performance I had at school. And then
the first method acting one.
Exactly.
Well too,
it was all on purpose, of course.
But for a second.
Exactly.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah.
I mean, you mentioned Mariah. I mean, that's great. But go on. No, go on.
Oh, and then, yeah, I think always in the Yiddish choir, always in choir at school. Miss Doyle. It's funny. Miss Doyle taught me in primary school singing in the choir and music. And then my first kind of pro-am show with Packerman out at Parramatta, she was the MD, or she was playing piano, and so we've reconnected.
Was that Keating?
No, it was Hairspray.
Oh, Hairspray, absolutely. Well, I saw that too. I
right.
Early on.
Hilarious.
But, yeah, absolutely. So, in fact, I might even have been involved doing the PR for that one. But
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. With Rod in that gang. But there she was again. How interesting.
Yeah, it's great. She's lovely. She's very talented and very lovely. So yeah, and then moving on with Mariah, I played saxophone. I was always involved with the choirs and the vocal groups. Moving on to then primary school, I remember having a couple of solos in the prize giving nights, which was fun, making people laugh, of course. And then high school vocal groups. I wasn't the greatest student. I probably thought I was too good for myself. I'm admitting now. So I don't know if Mrs. Goot or Miss Timms is watching. And then going into high school, I didn't practice as much as I should have. And that was kind of it. That was my high school. Obviously the music festivals. Mariah doesn't have a musical as such. And we didn't really have, there was the West Side Story, the last one when I was in year 3. So I was a choir member in that. Wow. But we didn't have a big musical as such. But yeah, that's...
Mariah since that time has become really the center of some big musicals. Obviously, things like the Fiddler on the Roof has become synonymous with school. But you mentioned Goot, and of course, and they go back a bit of a way as well too with Roberta Goot. But that was for but Mariah has become a real, real performing arts high school in every sense.
Yeah.
Its other achievements. It's quite an impressive place to come out from, and then to see, and then to go to college on the basis of that. So then, so just after high school, AIM.
Yeah. So I went on. So I'd always thought that music. I never thought of doing music theatre. It never crossed my mind at all. It was never a thing. Always acted, always sung, and always played saxophone. And at the end of high school, I thought, okay, music will probably just stay a hobby. And that's it. So I had planned to enroll. I'd already enrolled in sport management and exercise at UTS because I really wanted, and I still do. It's hard now, but I really wanted to be a recruitment manager for the rugby league, always. Yeah. And so...
Show me the money. Is that one of those ones, yeah?
Well, yeah.
That kind of thing.
And then always keep music as a hobby. That was the idea. And so then I went on Shnut. I went on Hineni Shnut to Israel. And while I was in Israel, my mum submitted me for this acting school, Sydney Theatre School. And I got in. And it was a diploma of acting. So I came back from Israel and I did that for 6 weeks and it didn't have enough singing. So I dropped out. Then I went to UTS for 6 weeks. And during that time of UTS doing the sport management and exercise bit, the singing teacher from the acting school, Prue Holloway, who's a good friend of mine now, who's also Jewish, she said to me, well, Doron, why don't you just do music and theatre together? Like the obvious answer.
No.
And I said, well, I've never done music. I don't know what it is. Well, I knew what it was. And then AIM, because AIM do trimesters, so you can join late. So I then joined AIM halfway through the year after my 2 dropouts in 12 weeks. And then did the Bachelor of Music there for 2 years. It was a kind of a fast course of 3-year degree in 2 years because of the trimesters, and learned a lot. Had really amazing singing teachers there, working with Nat Gamzu. She was my teacher for quite a bit. Yeah. And I think hopefully we'll be working together later in the year on my show, which will be great. I don't think she knows it yet, but that's the plan.
We won't tell anybody, Doron. We won't tell anybody. It's just between us.
Exactly. And AIM was great. And
so just for our viewers, so that's the Australian Institute of Music in Sydney, in the inner city from Sydney. Yeah. Yes. A lot of great graduates come out of that. It's a real melting pot. But go ahead. So shows while you were at AIM.
So while I was at AIM, I did Packermin's Hairspray, which is kind of like Packermin are kind of, they get the leads of professionals and the rest are ensemble members, amateurs, just doing it for fun or doing it for experience. And it's a really great model because it gets people involved. Well, you can explain as well.
Well, it's a cast of thousands. I'm a little bit like a Roberta Goot fiddler, to be honest. Huge number of people involved. There's lots of really, really great, talented kids involved, and a few big stars among the main roles. I remember they did what was the one that had Sam Moran? Oh, it was would have been Joseph. Joseph that had Sam Moran from the Wiggles playing Joseph's father. That sort of things. Yeah, so a real mix of kind of community and pro, but high production values.
Yeah, really, really high production value. So I think they're doing We Will Rock You next year with a couple of people. So that was the first ever musical that I did. Now probably, first musical I did. And then during AIM, it was too hectic because I was at Hineni during that time. So I didn't really have time to do musicals as such at uni. Besides the uni musicals, which was How to Succeed in Business Without Really Trying. And I played Bud Frump, which was amazing. A lot of fun. I like playing evil characters who can get away with a lot of things. It's evil. Yeah.
Yes.
And then we did a snippets of Keating the musical. So I did that at AIM, and then after AIM, I did that again. And that was directed by J. James Moody, who's a good friend of mine now, which is great. Yeah, and then that was university. But juggling university and juggling Hineni was a lot. Yeah.
Doron, but it's a big jump. I mean, look, everyone says this, and we've spoken to others in this series too, who've come out of drama school or music theatre school, but had to make the jump into a working life in the theatre. Agents, auditions, everything that happens out there with a lot of challenge. The first I can remember seeing you would have been in Keating the musical.
Out at Bankstown?
Out at Bankstown, yeah, which was a fabulous production. How did you enjoy that? Because that's a show which is a very Australian, very iconic Australian, and a classic role for you.
Yeah, well, I still say it's, besides Aladdin, it's probably my favourite musical that I've done. And I haven't done a lot, but yeah, so the role is split. The role's double. I don't know how to say it, but I played Bob Hawke in the first act and then John Howard in the second act. And a nice Jewish boy. Is a
hilarious thing to be doing. Anybody from that period.
Yeah, exactly.
To play those two roles is almost a kind of a game with the actors and with the audience.
Yeah. And so a nice Jewish boy playing Bob Hawke in Bankstown. And then John Howard.
Yes.
Weird. So I was really lucky because that show, it was directed by Geordie Shea, who's now, again, one of my really, really good friends. And he taught me a lot from that show. It was my first paid show. It was indie. It wasn't professional, but first paid show straight out of drama school. And it was, it taught me a lot about character. I was very lucky. He gave me a lot of permission to do what I want because Bob Hawke starts off the show. He kind of walks through the audience, basically does whatever he wants, or basically does whatever Doron wants. So
that's pretty much what Bob Hawke would have done as well, to be honest.
Exactly. Yeah. So at some nights I would take people's drinks and scull them, or I would take their popcorn or make fun of people. So that was great. And then it was really interesting. The best part about that was coming out as Bob Hawke, everyone would love you. Everyone would give you hugs. Everyone would be so happy to chat with you. And then the second I came out as John Howard, they would boo. It was great. It was so good because then I could just do the same to them. And I would muck around with cast members on stage and just do all the things you're not supposed to do in the theatre, but this show gave us permission to do it, and it was great. Yeah.
Tell me about this very interesting show that you did later on, which was called Dentures and Ditties, Tales of the Nursing Home. Redfern, Project 107. It's an interesting venue. Yeah. Tell me about that, because we're going to look at a clip from that in a second. But how did that come about? That's fascinating.
So at AIM, for your graduating shtick, I guess, you do a half an hour recital of, it's basically it's just a showcase. It's a half an hour showcase of you. You could literally get up there and just sing 5 or 6 songs, or you could create a story and work or whatever. So I love old people, love hanging out with them, and I love their stories. So I created this little cabaret called Dentures and Ditties, Tales of the Nursing Home, about me being a nurse, playing the character of a nurse, and he goes around and chats to the old people in the nursing home, and through that I became the old people. So I did that for my graduating recital at AIM, and then I think maybe a year or 2 later I put it on professionally in Redfern, directed by Sean Rennie, which is great.
I don't think he's a big music theatre name for a start in Australia.
Yeah. So look, I personally, I've come a long way since then, and we can talk about my new show coming up, hopefully, which is completely different. But yeah, so it was just a fun way of chatting to my grandma, doing research in in retirement villages. Do you want me to explain this clip, or?
Well, if you like, you can introduce it, because we're going to see the Pineapple song. You tell us about it.
So this, my uncle Michael Wolf, he every single time I go to his house for Shabbos or whatever, he always goes, "How's Mrs. Schneider?" Because he absolutely loves this little character that I created from my show. And it's just, if anyone has seen Cabaret, the musical, there's two older characters in the show, and they've got this beautiful relationship, and I just brought that in. I thought it was really relevant to an old age home, and I just brought that into my show and created these two little cute characters, which you'll be able to watch and enjoy, hopefully.
Let's see them now. It's the Pineapple song from Dentures and Ditties.
I guess I've always been attracted to old... Wrong choice of words. I haven't been attracted to old people. I've always been drawn to old people and their stories. And I suppose working at Blue Horizon Homes, I guess it's pretty great that I work here. There's a lot of old people, and there's a lot of stories. Take Herschel, for example. Now, I met Herschel when I was on my third shift. He stopped to introduce himself, and I could tell we were going to be talking for a very, very long time. Herschel loves reminiscing about the past. His favourite memories are with his now wife, Mrs. Schneider. They both met here. Having both lost their previous partners, they were seeking a new love that brought them together. Good evening, Herschel. Good evening, Fraulein Schneider. You have brought me a little something. What could it be? Herschel, you shouldn't have. So rare, so costly, so luxurious. If you brought me diamonds, if you brought me pearls, if you brought me roses like some other gents might bring to other girls, it couldn't please me more than the gift I see. A pineapple for me. If in your emotion you began to sway, then to grab some air or grab a chair to keep from fading dead away. It couldn't please me more than to see you cling to the pineapple I bring. Hawaiian breezes blow. It's from California. Even so, how am I to thank you? Kindly let it pass. Would you like a slice? That might be nice, but frankly, it would give me gas. And we shall even hear not to eat, but see. A pineapple for me, from me. But you must not bring me any more pineapples, do you hear? It is not proper. It is a gift a young man might bring to his lady love. But you are the most beautiful, most deserving woman in the whole entire world. If I could, I would fill your entire room with pineapples. A pineapple for me, from me. Oh, Herschel, my head is spinning. I think I might lie down for a bit. I am overwhelmed. She was so overwhelmed that she married him. You know, they found true love in their 80s. I guess it's never too late.
Oh yeah.
That is just absolutely adorable. I'm just loving that. Nah, I was just romantic. Oh, you're just romantic, Doron. Lovely.
Oh yeah.
Let's move on. Let's go on to I'm gonna throw 2017. So much has happened kind of since then, but I certainly had some fun working with you on the Leiden Table, and that was straight drama. There was no singing involved in that. I won't call you a villain, but you're certainly not the most popular character at the table with at least one of the other characters.
Yeah. It's such a dream to do just straight theatre. So if Sydney Theatre Company are watching, come on. It just meant that we could really get in touch with the script without having to stop to think about a song and do some dance moves. There was no mucking around. It was so lovely. And then also despite that, the context and the themes and that it was exploring, it was wonderful. I don't know, for people who didn't see the Leiden Table, it was basically set on the night of Eid and Yom Kippur. So and the set was just one long dining table, and on half of the dining table was a Jewish family and half of the side was a Muslim family. And it was just about conversations that happened on both sides. And then the twist, because it's probably not going to be on it again, but the twist was that the son from the Muslim side and the daughter from the Jewish side got together, and they were dealing with that. There's way more to it. But it was nice also to play a slight villain, a really right-wing, nice Jewish boy. So that was fun. And
not nice enough, apparently not nice enough for that nice Jewish girl. That was a shame. But then but that was not your fate or hers.
No, which is fine. But it was great because every night we got to eat challah on stage. That was awesome. And it was really cool to see that type of conversation happen on stage and to get I think we sold out the season. We had people sitting on the steps of the theatre just to get in. So it was really wonderful. And I made such wonderful friends out of that as well. Jeff being one of them.
Well, let's move on then. From 2017. So there's some big musicals that come after that. Which would have come next? I know there was a lot, but I think we had Carol King.
Yeah, so I did Beautiful. So as I was doing the Leiden Table, I got into Beautiful, the Carol King musical. So that was my first big professional show as such. And I remember my agent at the time, she said, you can be the curtain puller on this show. We just want to get you in. And I got rejected about maybe 3 times for auditions. And then eventually I sent in a video of me singing. Thanks, Debbie. I can see you up there. Beautiful was wonderful. Yeah, it was. And yeah, so I sent in a video of me singing one of the main songs from the show, We Gotta Get Out of This Place, which the lead Barry Mann sings in the show. And then I got an audition, which was great. So I must have done something right. And I went in really not knowing what they were seeing me for. I know there were a few characters in there that I suited, but I wasn't quite sure. So I had 2 more auditions with all the Americans come over and the guys who've written the show and directed it over there and producers. So I auditioned for them. And then a couple months later, I got a call and said that I was a swing on the show. And I knew what a swing was. So a swing is someone who, and this was off stage. So every night I would be off stage until someone was injured or sick or took a day off, and I would go on for that role. So I covered about 8 roles. Mainly the main one I went on was the track, like that was Neil Sedaka and the Righteous Brothers and Lou Adler. So it was just being a chameleon every night, which was great. Yeah.
What a wonderful acting experience. I mean, it's rather stressful to actually never know whether you.
Ridiculously stressful. Yeah.
But fun to be, it's almost like improvising star characters. Fun.
It was. And it's just the adrenaline rush of going on for the first time, never been on stage with an audience, having maybe teched it once or twice, so rehearsed it once or twice as a whole show, and then going out in front of 2,000 people and your mum. So it was great. It was really good, and it taught me so much about myself. Taught me so much about the industry and how to compartmentalize every bit. So I would say, okay, great. Now I'm on for this character in this scene doing this thing. Get rid of it. Now I'm on for this character in this scene doing this thing. Get rid of it. So it was great. It was really, really cool.
Okay, well, let's go on to something a little bit similar. Not quite so nerve-wracking, but doing something pretty quickly. You've done a bunch of those mystery musicals. Global Logic do. I don't know. You might want to explain what this is, because this is.
They haven't done one in a while. Yeah, of course. Well, they haven't done one in a while, but so mystery musical is basically Squabble Logic, who are an awesome indie company in Sydney, who do incredible shows run by J. James Moody, and Jess Moody, and they. So the idea of the mystery musical is that they would get a cast together. They would advertise the cast. So big names like Nancy Hayes and Simon Burke and Doron Chester. And no, I didn't play any big roles in that at all.
Oh.
But so they would advertise the cast, and the audience would pay to go see this mystery musical. And the only time you would know what the show is when you hear the first note of the overture. And it was great. And on the other side of that, we had 2 days of rehearsal. So it was all script in hand, or as much as you could improvise as you wanted. But that just set so much room for fun. And the audience, it was instant forgiveness, because they knew we rehearsed for 2 days, so we could do whatever we wanted. So I did Bye Bye Birdie, I did Hello Dolly, and Kiss Me Kate.
I mean, they are absolute favourites, like classic.
Yeah, that's great.
You have an audience coming along and having no idea, and then going, "Oh my gosh, we're going to see Kiss Me Kate tonight!" And
yeah, it's pretty amazing. Yeah, so that was all done at the Seymour Centre.
Yeah, and some great names
different theatres.
Some great names.
Sorry?
To work with.
Oh yeah, I worked. Yeah, Bette Daly played Dolly. Who else was in that? Ed Gray was in that. Dean Vince was in that. I worked with Bye Bye Birdie. Had so many people. It was awesome. Yes, Debbie. Yeah, it is like the neglected musicals. Yeah, very similar. Very, very similar.
Now I'm going to throw in something a bit of fun. We'll come to Aladdin, because I think that may be one of the more recent ones. But just in between, there was something a bit fun that we did together. And I saw them now. I think Joanna Weinberg is actually watching right now. But she was involved in this. This was an amazing project that happened at the Seymour Centre and at the Sydney Conservatorium of Music, which was called the Out of the Shadows Festival. And in amongst a whole lot of music, basically out of the Shoah, out of the Holocaust, and survivors' music and music created under the shadow of the Shoah, was a bizarre but wonderful Yiddish, Finnish musical from 1930s Helsinki, recreated to be performed by you, me, Joanna Weinberg, and Danny Mireles at the Seymour Centre with a superb band. What fun!
Yeah, it was.
Again, and this time here you sing.
Oh, we just we didn't know what we were getting ourselves into, because all of this music has just evolved and come from literally out of the shadows, out of nowhere. And it was so interesting to see how it was a look into how life was back then for Jews in Helsinki.
Yes.
And it was great learning the language and getting around the language and the tone of it as well. And then we were lucky. We had creative license to sometimes change lyrics in English to make sense to the Yiddish and move that all around. And I know Joe and you really helped in narrating the show and making sense of how it worked.
Well, the real force behind it, of course, was Joseph Toltz. So that whole festival was very much his work. This particular one was also worked on by a couple of people, but one also a wonderful researcher into all of this music, a Finnish guy, not a Jewish academic, but a Finnish academic who had put together and found, together with Joe, the original scraps of music, recreated some of it, but the text in Yiddish and then helping to translate it. So that was fascinating. It was an amazing thing that Joseph Toltz put together. But as you say, quite a bizarre thing to recreate a New Year's Eve cabaret, a New Year's Eve review, if you like, from Helsinki, late 30s.
It was really cool, and the audience loved it, and we got really good responses, and it was, as I said, it was great to work with you, Joe, and Danny, and just really good to explore that material, and just we had fun. We had a lot of fun. Our dressing room was.
Danny's another AIM graduate too, isn't she?
Yeah. Danny went to AIM. Yeah, she did.
I think she might have played soccer with my daughter, but that's another story.
Oh, right.
Don't know about Joe. What I was going to say is we have a beautiful clip here from that show. With a wonderful band as well too. But this is fun. This is I'll let you introduce it, but I'll just say that at the beginning that is a bit of Joanna Weinberg introducing you to this song. So we might see a bit of her before we hear you sing at this bizarre character. Which is my heart, because this is a little bit like me every Sunday. But
So this character was just this young Jewish kid who. The star of the football field, which he wasn't really. And he's just, you see him at the start of this song, completely battered and bruised, beaten up from the soccer field. And then this beautiful girl comes along and changes his hopes and dreams. And that's it. Yeah. Enjoy.
The next song, Esther van Bolplan, tells about the crushing defeat of the football team of the Star in a match against a non-Jewish team. I'm just going to check, are there any non-Jews in the audience tonight? Oh, 3. Okay, it's okay. We'll take you. We take everyone, right? Okay? You can join the club. So I'm just going to explain to you that the Yiddish 101 that we're going to teach you now, you're probably familiar with Ozzy, oi, oi, oi. Yeah? Okay. So in Jewish, it's oi, oi, oi with a yeah and a lot of pain. Okay? So that's what you need to have. You need that little phrase. So let's just have a go. Oi, oi, oi on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Oi, oi, oi. That's all you need to know. Please welcome a star from the football field.
Sweaty, doch hab ich der von Schönen geschützt. Mein Futzig zu brutzig, tut rastet mein Hand. Oi Brüderlach, Schwetzerlach, hab ich avan. Oi dear brother, sister, I take hold of the wall. I was a star on the field today. I flung the ball far across the field. And then from behind me came a thief, a guy who had a break and gotten mine. Oy, 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 oy. And kicked me right in my oy, 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 oy. But every sportsman has to suffer with joy. Då hopp ich der von Schellen geschützt, and to come home with your head bandaged taut. Das ist doch das Schönste in höchste in Sport. That is the most beautiful, sublime thing in sport. Is boxing, is sport. If das is das, it makes everyone beautiful with a split nose. How wonderful, how beautiful, how handsome they are. Was haben it denn nos, no ganz dazu. Who have now two schnozzles, how great I play. Nor verstehe on, Uzarach Grund. I have to run home to bind my wound. My way ist doch lang, bir Markowskis gehet. Und mein Mädel scherwat mir bei Skirnix gehet. I hope that girl's waiting if she hasn't left. Oh, wow! Are you my neighbor?
Oi, oi, oi. Oi, oi, oi.
Very fun.
Yeah. Oh, it's just weird watching yourself do stuff.
Look, I want to jump forward just for a second and ask a question about something that did involve Finnish. Did the people from Fiddler, which we'll get to in a second, more chronologically, ever see that video, or did they know that you did a cabaret in Yiddish?
I know it's funny when I auditioned for Fiddler. So this is the most recent Fiddler one, Yiddish, for everyone playing at home.
It's Opera Australia's Yiddish Fiddler, which was to be on pretty much September, October until the whole COVID.
Yeah.
But Sydney, Melbourne, big Opera Australia and Gordon Frost organisation. So back to the audition.
Yeah. So when I auditioned, it's funny. I've never had that gig on my CV because not a lot of people knew about it. But this time, and this time I put it in. I was like, this is Yiddish. And then I think I sent a link of the show to my agent and I said, hey, if you want to put this in the submission, here it is, me doing Yiddish. And yeah, now it's on my CV now. Yeah.
No, we'll come back to what happened there without ruining the story.
Great.
Queen Aladdin, am I right?
Yes. Yeah. So we finished Beautiful in September, and I got a call from Aladdin asking me to come in to audition for the role of Iago. And back when Aladdin first auditioned, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago, 2 years before that, I auditioned for one of the characters called Omar, and he's one of Aladdin's really good friends. And I got up to the final 3 and I missed out. Terrible. Not the end of the world because everything works out for a reason, right? So I then got a call as I was finishing Beautiful. I was in Brisbane and they asked, hi, Doron, can you come down to Sydney to audition for Iago? And I thought, okay, I've never even thought, originally I thought I'd love to play that role. It's amazing, great. But then a wonderful actor, Algin Bella, got it and he was wonderful. and he was leaving because the contract was a very long contract. They were ready to do their next part of the tour. They'd been going for 2.5 years. And they asked me to come in, and I had an audition, and they were really lovely. And then I think maybe 6 to 8 weeks later, I got the call that I got it. And it was amazing. It was truly a dream come true. I remember we were in Brisbane. I was just about to get into an Uber to go to some party or something. I was like, no, I can't. And so I called the entire family and told them. But it was just, yeah, it was amazing. It was a step into performing as a lead role, in a character role.
A villain for you, Doron?
Yeah, another villain. And so, yeah, just being able to... everyone knows Aladdin. Iago's the little parrot on Jafar's shoulder all the time, the little annoying parrot, and that's me. So it was just wonderful to play such an evil little yucky, funny character. So I got to play with... Jafar was played by Adam Murphy for majority of the tour, who's just the greatest human on earth. And then we did Auckland, Adelaide, Singapore, and then for Singapore, we had this actor called Patrick Brown, who was from Canada, and he did Jafar on Broadway for a bit. So he came to Singapore and did it with us, and that was totally, totally different, but really great to learn from him as well. Yeah.
Fantastic. And, the discipline of touring in these, a couple of these big shows then, really, really wonderful. The actor's life, very much so. And all that goes with it. But great roles. So we're going to come to now Fiddler, because this is something that the Jewish community was well aware of, and very involved with all the toing and froing in advance of the auditions. I know I was asked to supply Yiddish speakers or find people to help with the auditions, readers. I was working on the marketing side of things with it, having done that role years ago with Roberta Good. But working with Opera Australia and with Gordon Frost Organisation. And you went through the audition processes. Now tell me about that, just about the process before we find out what happened.
It was great. They were really... I got given the Yiddish sides, so the sides like the dialogue and stuff. So I got given all of the audition material maybe a month or two before, and I said to myself, you know what, Doron, you have a natural advantage in this audition, so you have to use it to your advantage. So I memorized absolutely everything. And they were lucky. They were really great because they had recorded, so it would give you the English line, it would give you the Yiddish translation, absolutely everything. My headphones are going to die, so I'm taking the... Can you hear me?
Yep, no problem at all.
Awesome. So, I prepared massively for it, and obviously it means a lot, like... coming from having my grandparents speaking Yiddish in the house when I was younger, and just knowing that Fiddler's Fiddler, and I auditioned for the role of Mottle, and that's a dream role, and it is a dream role, in a dream show, and then in Yiddish it just topped it a bit, and it was really awesome. I think what people, obviously it's not happening, but because of COVID, but I think people don't realize that this production of Fiddler came from a 200-seat theatre in New York, and then went off Broadway to a 499-seat theatre, and then the next thing you know, it's performing at the Opera House in front of 2,000 people. So it's pretty exceptional for that small show to come to Australia.
Yeah, look, huge plan, and of course it was going to go to Melbourne as well too, to the Comedy Theatre.
Yeah,
I think they said 60,000 tickets to sell. So a real vote of confidence for the theatre-going audience to see something in a very not heard often language for general theatre goers.
For anything, yeah.
Subtitles, but directed by Joel Gray. Now this was an interesting thing. So I know. Imagine the tragedy of this, just to fill everybody in, is that of course when COVID hit, everything was put on hold, and eventually, actually get cancelled because impossible. Bring in all of the international people, the international directors and creatives, many of them from America, to get a large cast rehearsed when social distance has been happening and still is happening. But months ago, when you would have been rehearsing already, it just became impossible, and it was a huge tragedy. The other interesting story about that, one more thing I would say about that, Doron, you were competing against, it was an interesting thing because I was in on the discussions about how they would do this. You were competing against kind of 3 different ways of looking at it. When they're going to cast, are they going to cast Jewish actors who've got the feel of it, the Yiddish, the Tum, the Yiddish and the Shomer? Are they going to cast Yiddish speakers, again with an advantage? Are they going to cast non-Jewish name actors or good actors who perform well but who have to learn the Yiddish and who may not naturally have the... So when you say you play to your advantage by preparing so fastidiously to show off that advantage, is a very intelligent piece of, of actor craft. No, because I know some of the names, and they were set to announce the cast literally when they had to cancel it, and it was a tragedy. And among the other people, and this is something we can say now because it's over, and I know you were sworn to secrecy. I saw you two in a cafe, and I think you barely knew each other, but we ran into each other just as this was about to be announced. Alexa Fishman, who I spoke to a few weeks ago in this very program, was cast opposite you as Seitl.
Yes.
Of the two of you being able to play those two roles was just such a wonderful, I was so right. Forward to that big time as well too. So, hey.
Yeah. Look, it's really lovely to know that obviously I got the role and just my hard work has paid off, and it would have been the first time performing professionally on stage all the time in Sydney and in Melbourne, because Aladdin never toured there when I was part of it, and Beautiful, I was only on stage not a lot. So that's an opportunity that I've missed, but fingers crossed, who knows? Everything's slowly coming back together now, and I think it's a show that deserves to be put on and deserves to be shown to audiences here in Australia. So we never know, but I have to take a step back and see be proud of my audition process and proud of doing of singing that material for a very little time, and who knows? Yeah.
Oh, look, very much so. Look, I think that there's definitely a chance that they come back. I can see Debbie has asked us that exact question. Rescheduled, postponed, it's up in the air. Never say never. There was a lot of commitment made to it, a lot of resources put into getting it to this stage. It may well still be there. The idea and the attractiveness of it, and how far we've gone, into the process, is very much there. So watch this space is all I would say. And as you say, take the positives out of it. You've been seen by Opera Australia, Gordon Frost, cast in a role by the two biggest producers of musical theatre in Australia. That can't be a bad thing. The next thing is definitely around the corner, which is my question to you. What is next for you? What are you working on now, looking forward? I know it's a weird time, but what might be?
Yeah, so I've been writing a show since uni called Moses, Queen of the Desert. And it's basically about this young Jewish religious boy who through his religious upbringing and influences, he becomes a drag queen. And I know I've chatted to Joe.
Yes, you do.
Yeah, exactly. I've chatted to Joanna about it, and she was really helpful in some of the script writing. And now I've got an amazing team. Darren Yap is directing. He's directed a million things, and so we've finished the script. We're in the process of just now finding when to put it on. We've applied for a few grants here and there, a few developments, and our next step is now to take it into original music. So, which I never thought I'd do. I always thought it would be a show. It's a one-man show again, just me, because I need money. And
well, in answer to Debbie's question, Debbie said Hugo Weaving. No.
Doron Chester. Come on, Debbie. No. So just me, and then becoming the different characters. So we know Debbie. So just me me becoming his mum, me becoming his booba, and his rabbi, just different influences that got him to becoming a drag queen. And just the idea of how religion can be what I really like. And no, I'm not expecting people to agree with me, but the one of the best parts about religion is you can pick and choose. And you can find the greatest things that really you connect with, and you can hold on to them and really create your own Judaism. And that's what I really, really love. And the connection to the traditions and the culture and just the different things. So that's what I've taken and put into my show. And so hopefully within the year we'll see it on somewhere. And yeah, that's what I've been working on.
Fantastic. There's all sorts of things coming up. We've had it's one of our viewers has asked, do we call that strictly a one-man show or is that a one-girl show? I don't know. We'll have to wait. One-person show. One way or
yeah.
Very good. Very good. Doron, it's been just delightful chatting with you. It's always wonderful.
Oh, thank you.
But to share the Doron story from go to woe, and it was not woe, it's right mid everything, and definitely looking forward to Moses. There was a Moses moment in that cabaret. Now I think about it too, but we'll leave that for the moment.
Oh yes,
that brief moment of the Commandments. But Doron, look, you take care. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Thanks for having me. Thank you so much.
Delightful. Thank you. Wonderful to have you on Backstage on Dunera. And a reminder to everybody who's watching, if anybody asks, and they missed out on this, it will be available later on demand. You can go back to Dunera and re-watch this at your leisure and tell your friends. Next week, talking to the composers of Atomic. The writer and composer, that's Phil Foxman and Danny Ginges, and we'll hear all about the rise and rise of Atomic from a musical in Sydney at NIDA to all over America and beyond. But that's for next week. For the moment, Doron Chester, beautiful to speak with you. You take care. Be safe.
Thank you. You too.
See you through the footlights soon enough.
Yes, of course. All right. See you later. Thanks,
Bye.
guys.
Bye.
Bye.